Welcome to the deep dive. We're here to plunge into complex topics and really pull out the key insights just for you.
That's right.
Today, we're tackling something absolutely central to, well, pretty much every industry: how top technology executives are reshaping things, driving success in this digital economy.
Yeah, and our sources today are really insightful. We're drawing from Hunter Muller's Accelerating Innovation and Invention in the 21st Century Enterprise and also Future State 2025.
That second one, how top technology executives disrupt and drive success in the digital economy, really sets the stage.
It does. And, our goal here isn't just to list strategies. It's about the mindset shifts leaders need. We want to distill what it takes to not just survive, but actually thrive when change is just constant.
Right. We'll look at how tech leadership became so crucial, the absolute necessity of focusing on the customer.
The huge impact of AI, obviously, and importantly, how you build those diverse, innovative teams that everyone's talking about.
Think of this as your guide, your shortcut maybe, to understanding the playbook for future-ready leadership. We'll pull out surprising facts, real examples you can use.
Yeah, things you can apply no matter what your role is.
Okay, so let's get into it.
Let's do it.
So the sources kick off with this really powerful idea. Now is, the best time to be a technology leader, unequivocally.
Yeah, and what's fascinating, as you mentioned, is the optimism. Even with huge challenges, like the pandemic discussed in the author's note.
Exactly. It makes you stop and think, okay, why now? What's changed?
Well, connecting the dots, it seems technology has fundamentally shifted. It's not a back-office support function anymore. It's a strategic weapon.
A weapon. That's strong language.
It is, but it reflects the reality. Tech leaders are now shaping the whole business model, creating revenue, creating advantages. They're right at the center.
And the spending reflects that, right? IDC predicted something like $7 trillion in IT spending just between 2019 and 2022.
Huge numbers. So the big question becomes, how do leaders actually grab this moment? How do they embrace it?
The core message seems to be about courageous leadership and being able to pivot fast. Hunter Muller's own company, H.I.G strategy.
Right, they're a great example. They went from all live summits to digital practically overnight.
That takes courage. Let's look at some other examples from those virtual summits they ran. What did leaders actually do during that disruption?
Okay, yeah. Wendy Pfizer at Nutanix, the CIO there, she focused on helping remote teams find structure, to avoid burnout.
Structure. That sounds simple, but it's probably crucial when everyone's suddenly at home.
Exactly. And she even encouraged non-traditional work hours, letting people handle family stuff, find balance. She said they found more capacity that way.
That's interesting. So flexibility actually increased capacity.
That was her finding, yeah. It challenges that old time in the seat idea. Then you have Steve Philpott at Western Digital, their CIO. Saw a massive jump, 3 to 5 times, in collaboration tool usage, basically in days.
Wow.
Which just highlights, you need tools that can scale, robust tools. And IT had to be the role model for working remotely.
Lead by example.
Precisely. And Avin Shah, CEO of MoveWorks, he saw IT support tickets double. Chatbot demand tripled.
Tripled.
Yeah, which signaled to him that remote work wasn't just temporary. It was becoming semi-permanent.
So these leaders weren't just reacting. They were adapting and reading the signals in real time.
That's it. They show what adapting really means.
What really stands out to you from those examples? For us, it's how these lessons, they aren't just for IT people, are they?
Not at all. They're pretty universal, I think. Any leader facing rapid change could learn from that structural empathy that need to be both enabler and role model.
Okay, so leadership in crisis needs agility, courage. But what about the long game? Where should leaders focus once things stabilize a bit?
Well, that brings us straight to the customer. The sources are really clear on this. Customer experience is now the most powerful driver for growth, for revenue, everything.
And there's data to back that up, that PwC research. 42% of people would pay more for just a friendly experience.
And 52% for speed.
Yeah. That really puts customer experience, or CX, front and center. It's not just a nice to have anymore.
Absolutely not. It forces a total rethink as how you go to market. We're seeing CIOs now proactively investing in digital transformation in AI.
Specifically to improve that user experience.
Exactly. And customer satisfaction.
Right.
Bridging that gap that often exists between the front office customer-facing stuff and the back office operations.
Okay, so how are they actually doing that? What are the tools, the technologies?
It's things like intelligent automation, RPA, robotic process automation,
Right.
conversational AI, so chatbots and the like, and also AI-driven service management, AISM, Yeah, using AI to optimize IT support itself.
Right.
The goal for all of this is creating dynamic, personalized experiences, cutting resolution times, reducing system outage.
And cutting costs, too, presumably.
Yeah. And cutting operational costs, yeah. What's really fascinating is how chatbots are evolving. They're moving beyond simple rules.
To what?
To being actual decision-making systems. They learn from every interaction. That's a big leap for customer satisfaction.
Okay, concrete examples. Let's make this real. Bloomin' Brands.
Yeah, Donna Hurley, their CTO.
Yeah.
So think Outback Steakhouse.
Got it.
He talked about improving the actual in-restaurant experience. Features like real-time wait times on an app, mobile payments, just removing friction.
Makes sense. Less waiting, easier paying.
And they also shifted hard into an omni-channel model. Their own delivery fleet, loyalty programs using machine learning.
For personalized marketing stuff.
Exactly, using all that customer data to tailor offers and communications.
And Zendesk, they're kind of built on customer experience, aren't they?
They are. Tom Kaiser, their COO, really hammers this home. Focus on the experience, make it easy, make it fast.
How do they use tech for that?
They use machine learning quite heavily to automatically surface answers to customer questions. Also to spot gaps in their help content for their own teams.
Oh, so the AI helps both the customer and the support staff.
Right, and they collect tons of usage data to constantly refine things. It's about moving from just being customer-aware to being truly customer-led.
Okay. So for you listening, if you're thinking about how your organization interacts with customers, whether internal or external.
These strategies, this focus on friction reduction and personalization, that's a pretty clear roadmap.
Right. This customer-led approach, fueled by digital transformation, it leads us directly to the next big wave, artificial intelligence.
AI, the big one.
So what does this all mean? For the future of work, for global competition? There's that persistent fear, isn't there, that AI is just going to replace loads of IT jobs?
It's important to get clear on that. Often people mix up RPA, robotic process automation, with true AI.
How are they different in simple terms?
Well, RPA basically automates tasks based on predefined rules, like follow steps A, B, C. AI, especially machine learning, is different. It's about computers teaching themselves how to think, how to find insights and data.
Okay, so less about automating simple tasks, more about thinking.
In a way, yes. And the sources actually suggest AI will probably create new jobs faster than we can fill them, rather than just wiping out existing ones.
That's a more optimistic take. But, we also hear warnings. People like Elon Musk, Stephen Hawking, they've voiced real concerns about AI's potential downside if we don't manage it properly.
And that's a really crucial point. The potential risks are serious.
Yeah.
This raises the question, how do we ensure we develop good AI?
Good AI. What does that mean in practice?
Well, Mark van Riemann suggests AI needs to be explainable, not just a black box where you don't know how it reached a decision.
Right, transparency.
Exactly. And built on clean, unbiased data. Otherwise, you just automate and scale up existing biases.
That makes sense. Bad data in, biased decisions out.
Precisely. He uses this great analogy, comparing it to a pilot needing to stay ahead of the power curve. Meaning, if you fall behind in understanding and managing AI, trying to catch up later might be impossible. It can be disastrous. It stresses the need for proactive governance and understanding.
That power curve idea, it applies globally too, doesn't it? The sources talk a lot about the US-China AI race.
They do. Kai-Fu Lee, for example, highlights China's massive investment in AI research, in startups, huge amounts of money flowing from VCs, tech giants, the government.
So China's pulling ahead.
Well, China's rise is undeniable, but the sources add some nuance, like China might still be playing catch-up in some areas, like enterprise infrastructure.
Okay.
And they face demographic headwinds around 2030. So it's not necessarily a simple story of guaranteed Chinese dominance in every aspect. It's complex.
So for you, the listener, understanding AI isn't just about the tech specs.
No, it's about the ethics, the job impacts, the global chess game it's creating.
Yeah.
It's fundamental.
Okay. So we've talked about crises, customers, AI. Amidst all this disruption, what actually makes a great leader? What characteristics do they need today?
Yeah, the sources get into that, pulling insights from top executives, executive search panels.
And what did they say? What defines great leadership now?
Well, a few key things came up. Great leaders focus on the big strategic challenges, not just day-to-day fires. They're always looking for new revenue streams.
Proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. They stay plugged into current events, build amazing teams, really understand the financials.
Not just the tech budget, the whole business picture.
Right. They have real intellectual curiosity. They embrace things like reverse mentoring, learning from younger staff.
Interesting.
And they're willing to fail fast, fail cheap when trying new things. Crucially, they see technology as that strategic weapon we talked about, not just a cost center.
And they can communicate that vision clearly.
Critical clarity. Inspire people with a shared purpose. That's key.
With tech leaders becoming these strategic figures, building a personal brand seems more important than ever. How do they advise doing that effectively?
Good question. Ralph Lauren, CIO at Lumentum, warns against getting typecast, stuck in one perception.
How do you avoid that?
He says you have to actively seek feedback on how people see you. And then, consciously work to change that perception if you need to. Be deliberate about your story.
Okay. What else?
Mark Egan from Stratafusion recommends getting out there, writing blogs, speaking at events. His phrase was, demystify technology.
So it's about thought leadership, sharing expertise.
Yeah, shaping the conversation, not just doing the job. Patrick Steele from Bloomberg Capital's CIO Advisory Board adds that you first have to excel at your actual job. That's foundational.
Makes sense. Performance first.
Then get involved with business peers, understand their world, and community service, he says, helps build your brand both inside and outside the company.
So it's a mix of doing great work, communicating it, and engaging broadly.
Pretty much. John Roller at Horsley Bridge Partners also stresses using industry conferences for networking, but also for understanding the business side, not just the tech trends. It's a continuous effort.
Right. It's not a one-time thing. Okay, finally, let's touch on something critical for innovation, for everything we've discussed, really. Workforce diversity.
Yes, absolutely vital. And what's interesting here is the framing. It's presented not just as the right thing to do, but as an economic imperative.
How so? What's the evidence for that?
Well, a Harvard Business Review study found that teams with cognitive diversity, different ways of thinking, actually solve problems faster than teams where everyone thinks alike.
Faster solutions. That's a clear benefit.
There was another study from NC State showing companies with strong diversity policies actually performed better. They developed more innovative products.
Tangible results, more innovation.
Yeah, roughly 2 additional new product announcements over 10 years for companies that, as they put it, check all the diversity boxes. It's a competitive edge.
So how do leaders actually foster that kind of environment? Earl Newsom, CIO at Lynn EPLC, offered some really practical advice.
He did. He talked about actively seeking out dissenting opinions. Don't just tolerate disagreement, encourage it, listen to it.
That takes conscious effort.
It does. He also used the phrase, getting your passport stamped, meaning meet people at all levels across different parts of the organization, even just random coffee chats.
Break down those silos.
Exactly. Understand different perspectives firsthand. And simple things like giving recognition, even just thank you cards, make a difference in making sure all voices feel valued.
Because that's where the best ideas come from. It's not just hiring diverse people, it's inclusion.
Precisely. Making sure everyone feels heard and can contribute fully.
Okay. So whether you're building your own brand or shaping your team's culture.
These are real, actionable strategies for leading effectively in this constantly shifting landscape.
Absolutely. This deep dive, it really reinforces that technology is, it's the engine of disruption, innovation, value creation.
It's the heartbeat, yeah.
But what we've really unpacked is that it takes leadership, courageous, customer-focused, inclusive leadership, to actually turn all that potential into real success.
It's definitely a call to action, isn't it, for every leader? To keep reimagining, keep reinventing, using digitals not just for efficiency, but for real growth. The pace isn't slowing down.
Not at all. The stakes are incredibly high for those who don't adapt.
Couldn't agree more.
So as you reflect on all this, here's something to think about. A provocative thought, perhaps. In an era where the future state becomes today's reality almost instantly, what currently unimaginable technology might be the basic infrastructure of tomorrow? And more importantly, how are you preparing to lead in whatever that next paradigm looks like?